Today, I want to tell you a story of the dark side of Canada. Now, this is my rebuttal to the running joke that Canadians are just running around everywhere going, "Oh, sorry, sorry, sorry," because that was not my experience. And for the record, before I start, there's a lot of good people. It was just as good as anywhere else, and everyone was kind, except for these instances that seem to have a pattern and reoccur. Outside of these instances, everyone was awesome and great and gracious. But this is me saying why Canada isn't necessarily anywhere nicer than anywhere else. It just showed in other ways. And I am talking road rage. And my Canadian peeps, back me up here if I'm right, or correct me if I'm wrong. But this was, well, here's what happened. And tell me if this is a regular occurrence for you guys. So, we start this trip. I don't even know where I went, but we started in Michigan. And we went into Canada in Detroit. It's Windsor, is that Ontario? Anyway, by Detroit. And then we headed 6 hours from there somewhere in some direction straight into Canada. And so we ended 6 hours deep in. So we've been on the road for 2 or 3. We're getting into Canada 2 or 3 hours. And I notice this guy's going on the road and we're doing 70 and this car whips around him and just locks up their brakes. And this guy's slams on his brakes and he's just ignoring it and he's just acting like nothing happened. And this other person in the car in front of him's whipping around, slamming on their brakes, and then they take off. And I was like, what the hell was that? There's some real road rage going on here. Then we're like, all right, it was, whatever, that was kind of weird. I wonder what that guy did to piss that person off. And the guy actually, I don't know, I'll never forget, him just I'm bored. Just looking straight. Oh, this person's slamming on their brakes. I'm just gonna ignore it. I was like, damn. So then we get to where we're going, which is a pontoon boat rental place. And I guess if anyone knows Canada a little bit, we headed to, we were basically going in these boats down these locks and through these lakes and rivers, and then we would come to different locks, and then we would keep going down the river, and it was a houseboat pontoon thing, and so we would just tie up our boat wherever we were that night, and there'd be sometimes there'd be campsites. They'd have designated tie your boat off spots, and we'd camp or whatnot. It was pretty cool. I went with my ex's family. And then at the end of the trip, we were on this boat for 3 days, a day and a half going upriver. And then we ended at these giant, cylinder locks. And they go, one goes up and down. They're giant tubs. And I guess it's one of the oldest locks or something. And I don't know, the way they poured it is I'm getting way off track, but the way they poured it was they didn't put any re-rod or anything. It was just straight cement, and it was only meant to last 10 years, and that was 110 years ago, 5 years ago when I went. And so that was awesome. We went in this tub and we went down it, And we went, and there's a little like museum showing animals around there and stuff. We went in there, and then we hopped in the boat, turned around, and headed back another day and a half. Anyway, so we get to the launch spot where you rent the boats, and there's a party store or grocery store down the road. And so we take this van that we all drove in, and me, my ex, and her little sister, who was like, I'm 20 or 21, and the sister insisted on driving, so it was me and my ex just, in random parts of this van. And we're heading to the store, and we're gonna get, sister might have been 19, because I'm thinking she could buy beer, but it was in Canada, So anyways, we're heading to buy beer and get like chips and food and stuff for the road just for us, because the rest of her family already packed, I don't know. So we're going on the road, and it's 50 kilometers an hour, which I have no idea how fast that is in miles per hour, but the van only had miles per hour. So we're going on the road, and we're kind of lost. We kind of don't know what's going on, and we were going slow. We had to have been going slow, but we have no idea. But it's just this road, and it's like you can pass us at any time, especially if we're going slow. So this truck comes like right on our butt, and it's right behind us, and we're like, oh, okay, like now the pressure's, not only are we lost, don't know what we're doing, don't know what the speed limit is, and the sister's only 19 and she's driving, but now there's this person like on the bumper, to which my ex gives her the brilliant advice to just keep slowing down, which, if you're dealing with road rage, it might be the safe thing to do, but it's not going to calm the situation down if the person just doesn't want to go away, and this person didn't want to just pass. So she slows down like another 5 miles an hour to where she's comfortable to drive. This person whips around and locks up their brakes. And so it's like, whoa, so now we're like both stopped. And the person goes to go, and my ex's sister makes another genius move, and she lays on the horn at him, to which they slam on the brakes again, to which the sister decided she was going to get tough, and she whips over into the shoulder, and then the person in front the truck whips out, and like both stop in the shoulder, at which point I'm thinking, I'm the only guy in the car, so little sister is biting off possibly more than I can chew, because I'm the one who has to deal with this when it comes to whatever it's coming to. And luckily, I guess, so the little sister whips onto the shoulder, the truck whips onto the shoulder, and you can just see it in little sister's face that her bluff has been called, like, oh shit, I did not expect them to whip onto the shoulder too, like now I have to deal with this. And instead, because now her whole resolve's been broken, she cuts back on the road, and then the truck whips out in front of her on the road, and then slams on the brake once more, and then the little sister, she's like pretty much defeated at this point. Like she's kind of doesn't honk this time, and then the truck just took off, like hit the gas and disappeared, and we're stuck just looking at each other like, maybe it was a Michigan license plate, but Canadians, what happened here? I mean, we weren't not at fault. Like, for the record, I understand that we were pushing buttons back. At first in ignorance, and then out of little sister's and big sister's advice to slow down and all that. But it escalated quickly, and it was almost the same thing that I saw on the expressway. So now this has happened twice, and it's been enough years that it might have happened twice on the expressway. Like, I might have been on the expressway like, what is happening that this happened twice? So now this is either the second or third time. I can't say for sure, because I want to say, but I have no real memory. I seem to vaguely remember a second incident, but I won't say that for sure. So now we get on this pontoon, and we're talking to everyone, and it's cool, and it's the launch. It's kind of cool to see, like, it's half in French and then half in English. For French Canadians or whatever, and like all the signs and stuff. So we go on the water, and we pass this. Oh, we've been going for a couple days. I don't know what happened, but so there's a line to get onto this lock, and it's like a busy place. So they're like packing as many people, and then they let the water down, and then everyone goes, and then they either bring people up. I don't know if it was a two system or they just go one at a time. I can't remember. So anyways, so we're waiting in line, and they fill it all up. There's a little bit of space. And they're looking at all the boats, and they're like, well, there's only enough space for that one. So literally the guy looks at us and he goes, you, like, come forward, like, past these other boats in line. Like, come, like, you're the only one that fits. We can't put anyone else in here, so you guys will fit, you go. So they put us in there, and so we're like, whatever, all right. So we go in, and we go down, and then now we're in this, like, basically a motorhome on top of a pontoon. And we leave the lock, and then we're going to we're going away from this thing, and meanwhile the load behind us, like all the people that were in line, get down, and these are people that were like, hey, like, what's up, how's it going, like, oh, like talking, and like we were chilling and hanging out with and having a good talk with a minute later when we were up there, and now we're down, but we cut them in line. It wasn't us, it was the people running the whole show that put us there. I want to state that clearly. Like, we weren't, like, being rude and cutting people. So now we're sitting there in this pontoon, and this boat pulls up next to us. One of the guys that had to wait, that we passed in line, they come right up next to us, and then they just gun it. And what it did was it took all the water that was right where the boat was sitting, and when he gunned it, it cleared all the water out, so that our pontoon went up on the wave he created, and then there was a hole, so we went, and all the drawers and all the food and everything, and just like all the, like, anything not secured was just like flying all over the place. We're falling against the wall just because it's calm water, and all of a sudden we're just like about to flip. And my ex's dad called it like a something horsepower salute, however much horsepower that boat was. A 400 horsepower salute. I don't know how much horsepower a boat has. So anyways, so it was just, and then the person just like took off. Like, it was like a F you for cutting us in line, and we're like, why is this happening to us? Like, I swear, like, we're good people. So that was my experience with the dark side of Canada. The side no one will tell you about. And actually, if you're from Canada, help me out here. Is this an occurrence, or is this just did I just happen to see the 3 or 4 times that this kind of thing happened? Or is this like one of those, kind of like New York, where you can see people in New York, and people in New York are actually really nice. Unless you're driving, it's something about like the separation of the car. Like, you don't see the person, kind of like the internet and being a hater on the internet. Like, you're not in the space or around the person. You're not looking them in the eye. You're not like seeing the hurt or the offense you're doing. So there's no cost to you. You just get to get your rage out and your jab in, and then you get no consequences other than if the person rages back. But they have to break their bubble of their vehicle or whatever. But then, like, when you're face to face, you realize, hey, just good people, and we're always making mistakes all the time, especially if you're like me, like doing a few miles an hour on the side under the speed limit is like walking slow on the sidewalk. Like, come on, would you pass me on the sidewalk, jab back into me? Like, hey, sorry, man. Like, I didn't mean to slow you down. Like, you passed me. Like, what's going on? You having a good day? Like, you want to talk about it? We're all brothers and sisters here. Anyways, that was what seemed to happen a lot wherever I was at. And bonus, I was we went to another pontoon full of guys and they were having a bachelor party, and I brought a little sister and my girlfriend there, so I was like, I brought the girls, which is kind of an awkward situation for me where they're like, all right, you can come because you're bringing the girls, and I'm like, okay. So anyway, so I was talking, having some good, good times, good people. But this one dude who wasn't really talking, he had moonshine, and I was like, and they gave me a taste. I was like, wow, like that's really good. Like that is like tastes like his apple pie moonshine. I was like, it tastes like apple pie. Like it tastes like I just took a bite of an apple pie, mom's apple pie. I was like, how'd you make this? And he's like, I ain't telling you. And I was like, oh come on. He's like, nah. And then his buddy's like, he's like, why, man? He's like, what's the recipe? Come on, tell us. And he turns to his buddy, he goes, I'll tell you. He goes, I'm not telling some American. And I was like, okay. Sorry. Anyways, that was the dark side. For the record, everything else was awesome and everyone was great. Those are the cherry pick bad moments. But I just saw a show where they were like, it was Ryan Reynolds doing an interview, and they're talking about the insult thing, and at the end of it they're like, oh, you're Canadian, you can't throw insults, so you feel bad, sorry. And he's like, yeah, and it just made me reminded me of like, bullshit. I was there. I don't know, Canadians help me out here. Bad experience, it was a good experience, but though in those instances, bad experience, or is this something no one talks about? Help me. I've lived with this for years. Feels so good to get that off my chest. All right. Rant over. I'll catch you later.